United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do have a report out of closed session tonight. And in closed session by a vote of 5-0, the board took action to appoint Jeff Dixon as the Assistant Superintendent of Business Services effective March 29th, 2017. Make a motion to adopt our agenda, please. So moved. Second. Motion. And any changes or additions to the agenda?
No changes or additions.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have no recognitions this evening. We have public comment for items that are not on the agenda. See if there's anyone on the agenda still. There's no one. Okay. Then we move to our reports. Student rep.
Okay, so we just had our course selections, which closed this Friday, and we got to meet with our counselors in the library so we could choose our classes for the next year. So for me, I'm a junior, or I'm a sophomore. I'm choosing my classes for junior year, and same with everyone else. Monday we had the CTE job fair, and so we had, I think, around 20 to 30, I'm not really sure the number, around that many people showed up to show different jobs to students, and not just jobs, like also the internships. They had like offers in like Global Citizen of the Year, and then I got an interview with Deb Stelly. I just sat down with her and I talked to her about how my cousin worked for her, and she got my resume, and so I got a job there. And so a lot of other students I know also got a job. There was like the paid internship at the 93.5 or Meg's 93.5, and so a lot of students I know are doing that, and they're really excited. So that was really fun. And then Friday we had the OCC field trip, and that was so much fun. I want to go next year. So we got to go to Orange Coast College, and they had 23 different classes that we could choose from, but you choose two, unless it's filled up, you choose another one. I did a course in law, and because that's what I want to be when I'm older, and then I also did one in television broadcasting, which I thought was very, very interesting because I'm not that interested in it, and I knew nothing about it. So I know a lot of different students did like marketing and met with people from Taco Bell, and other people did like cosmetics and hair, and then there was airplane flying. There was so many different things, and it was really cool because that campus I know has improved so much. So that was a really exciting field trip. And then MUN conference was last weekend. And then Cinderella is going on right now. This is the third weekend, is next weekend. And we also had royal tea parties, which I know your daughter is going or has gone. Is she going?
No, she's going.
Well, it's the royal tea party. And so we have a bunch of little kids come to fundraise for our show. And a bunch of my friends, like siblings, have come to all of them, and it is really cute because they get so excited to see all the different princesses that they've loved their whole entire lives. And so 8th grade parent night was also last Thursday, and we had all the 8th graders come, and we took them around the different clubs, which I also set up. And that was cool. I got to talk through how high school is not as scary as they think it is, and I remember not knowing anything going in, so I explained exactly where things were and everything. So I think it was a lot better than how I felt my first year. We just had ASB elections, and we got our ASB president, secretary, treasury, and everything. And then we also have interviews this week for kids who want to be in the class. Like, so I had to interview today, and that went well. We had the blood drive, and about 58 students participated. And then actually, this is for me, so this is the sock drive. I am hosting this next week and the week after. So for AP Euro, we have to do a service project, and for me, I decided to help people with the little things that you don't really think are a big deal, but when you don't have any money and you don't have socks, it's a really big issue. So me and 5 other kids are getting together, and we're hosting a sock drive here and at Top of the World, and we're gonna have people bring in socks, and whatever class has the most socks, we'll have a pizza party, and so my group's gonna chip in for that. And so it's really exciting because we're gonna do a little note attached to it, so it's like very personal. And I'm gonna donate to the local shelter here and the shelter in New York when I go there for spring break. And then lastly, on the educational report, so Bailey Thomas, a senior at the school, is directing his one-act show called Happy Hour, and he wrote this, and I read it. Incredible, and that's going to go on later, but they have the callbacks tonight, which I'm actually going to after this, and Eurydice, which is directed by Ryan Zipstein, and that's the Greek myth made contemporary. And then the athletic report. So we are currently competing in boys and girls track and field and swimming, basketball, or baseball, softball, boys golf, girls sand volleyball, boys volleyball, and boys tennis. All of our teams are competing well and improving daily. Recent highlights included our hosting of the Eric Holst Trophy Invitational Track Meet, which featured over 50 teams. All of our teams are starting league play and are looking to qualify for CIF playoffs spots. Our baseball team is shooting to defend the Orange Coast League Championship and make another run at CIF Championship. If we continue to improve and play, we will win 8 league championships this spring. If you're looking for a great sport experience, head down to the main beach and watch our girls sand volleyball compete. They're having a great season and you cannot beat the setting. Go Breakers. Okay, so
Thank you. Chloe, before you go, I really appreciate hearing the report on the visit with OCC, because the community college is not just OCC, but they're really changing. And there's even a move for some of them to offer actual 4-year degrees through community college, and certain, I believe nursing might be one of them, certain things that are, but they have changed greatly, and I think it's great that we're providing an opportunity for our students to see how they've changed. The other is your comment on internships. I actually was just being told that at the college level, that students who do internships have a much higher employment rate when they graduate if they've been doing an internship, particularly a paid internship.
Yeah.
So it's like that's the way it's being done now. So it's good that our students are getting in and seeing that at the high school level, and then they can pursue that in college. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good luck.
Mindy.
I want us to come to the microphone. You're a hard act to follow though, Chloe, I have to say. I was just gonna let that stand. So we start negotiations on Thursday, and we're anxious as a union to make sure that all of our staff feels supported, valued, compensated, and that we keep our focus on what happens within the walls of our classrooms, that we keep our teachers in their class, but that they also have the opportunity to have the professional development that helps them to do the best job that they can. So we will begin that this week.
Thank you. CSEA.
Good evening. Well, first of all, let me say for CSEA, we are so excited that Jeff Dixon is taking over the superintendent position. First of all, his professionalism in the facilities department was outstanding, and since all of those people are classified people that we interact with, the way he handled issues that have come up as we move forward in negotiations with new issues or new ideas that are coming forward, just really innovative. And in the meetings, one meeting that I've been in with the joint fiscal, the complete presentation, the transparency, asking difficult questions and getting great answers. And even as of today, I sent an email out regarding some very specific information I was looking for, and I've not only had the answer, but then just a moment of would I need more clarification. That wonderful transparency is just what we need as the group works together. On that note, reclassification committee, I don't know, I'll let Lisa talk about it because I always take it away from her, but we have completed for this year. She can, if you know what's in the scope of what's happening. And we also start negotiations tomorrow, as you see with our Sunshine Lab. We are opening 2 articles are always open, and the district will be opening 2 articles. We look forward to really clarifying the contract as far as our descriptions and language. We are, as a unity, moving forward. We do our survey and we get the input from our members as to what their interest bases are. So we look forward to a very win-win situation in our negotiations. Thank you.
Do we have any reps from PTA or SoCal here tonight? Okay. Then we have board member reports. Who would like to go first? Well,
I can start, but I'm gonna start from over here. There you go.
Shoot all in that.
Scoot up back. I also attended the Orange Coast Career Fair, and it was the variety. There definitely was a variety of people speaking. I love the engineers because they had multiple PowerPoints really explaining the 4 Cs. Like they didn't realize. I don't think they're explaining the 4 Cs, but how to communicate with people who don't understand you. They talked a lot about that, and I thought, oh, I feel so misunderstood. Right, the depth of their complexity they're speaking in, and they were so nervous talking to the group, and it was the biggest class. The biggest class was engineering, broadcasting, FBI, and the smallest was makerspaces and 3D printing. It was kind of interesting, and this was a big group of kids from all over Orange County. I think we only had 31, is what it was. We had a small group of here that's big. Yeah, I think that's who ended up coming was 31. But the coding one, it was wonderful. The guys talking about how you could just learn to code and then go get this great job, and you had job stats of how much you could just make, and then you basically just sit at that for the rest of your life. But if you really want to make a difference and you want to understand business and what the coding is going to do, and so it was wonderful. Each professional came from their own angle on it, but really all of it was inspirational about the profession, and they changed what they talked about based on who the kids were in their program each session. So that was great. And then I did see Cinderella, which was fun. And then the end conference, I got to register the 475 students that came, and boy, they were all dressed up and professional and ready to take charge of the world. And then the teachers did invite all the parents to go in and witness what happens in there, because I think a lot of us didn't have clarity of all what takes part in there. I understand it wasn't your opinion, but you take the opinions of the country and represent them. But they added this college level part where you have a group that works on crisis. They create a crisis and they go in and explain the crisis. And so depending on what you're talking about, it could be like Russia just invaded China, or China and North Korea just invaded South Korea. So they're in the midst of whatever they're working on, and then all of a sudden this crisis happens. They're all sitting among each other, as representatives around the world, and then continue to work with each other. And and the reactions from the younger to the older were fascinating. The younger were like, they're moving physically away from each other, and the older were like looking at who they're going to have to start negotiating with and switching tactics. And it was fascinating. That isn't what everyone does. It's unique to when we host, and I didn't know that. So that was really cool. And we had Thurston representatives too. We had kids from Thurston who were there, and they held their own. That was here. They were learning more diplomacy, I think, at that level, and how to be diplomatic. I thought I'd all sit there and pick up the rules. I'm like, oh, those are pretty cool. But so that was wonderful to see as well. And then Jeff, congratulations. You are not only innovative and really qualified for the job, but I can't speak for teachers and everyone else, but for students and parents, you're a role model. I'm so happy. Cindy,
I would go next. I went to the LVHS PTA meeting, and they elected a new slate. We have new parents on the slate in high school. So it's always great to have, particularly in high school, parents involved. I also went to 4th District, which is the Orange County PTA, the biggest district in all of the United States for PTAs, FYI. They had a advocacy meeting with 5 superintendents from Orange County. It was really informative. Each superintendent discussed issues they're facing in their districts. I found it compelling. I also attended Cinderella. It was excellent. I felt really proud. I get teary-eyed, and none of my children are in it, but it's just, you're so proud. They're excellent.
did you go to the Princess Tea?
I did not go to the Princess Tea, but there were a few little girls dressed in Beauty and the Beast costumes that are showing. It was very cute. I also went to the incoming ninth grade parent meeting because I am a ninth grade parent, and they did a great job of presenting students, which I think instead of just having the adults speak, I thought just having students do a performance, students talking about what they're involved in, it made it really accessible, and then we cruised around the fair and stuff, so well done, that's what I attended. Awesome.
We had our CCA, College and Career Advantage meeting, Jan and I went. We just got a kind of basic overview right now. We're getting our catalog together for next year. We've added, I think, 29 additional classes. They're adding classes and they added, they're up to over 300 partners. Yeah, 329 partners this year for CTE, 329 partners, which is great. And they're having an advisory group on Thursday from 4 to 6 down at the Capo District office. I was gonna go, but I can't because we have to go to Manly. But if any of you are interested, you could pop in down there. I'm gonna email Patty, but I'm not gonna be there, but if you'd like to go, anybody would like to go.
When is it again?
It is Thursday from 4 to 6 down at the Capo District office.
Which there's
This Thursday, sorry, 3:30, 3/30 from 4 to 6. And 62% of our high school students for spring of 2017 are taking a CTE class. Now, that doesn't mean it's necessarily through ROP, but because we have expanded what the CTE means, 62% of our kids are being touched by this, which I think is huge. Along with that, I think kudos need to go out to Ann Bergen and Lynn Gregory because they did get the career fair at the high school. They were disappointed that not as many people came, but listening to Chloe, I think it was obviously worth it for the kids who did show up. So I think they worked very hard on that. I also spoke to Lynn today. They went to a luncheon at Newport Harbor where 150 mentors, they have their students, and she said it was amazing because some of these people have been doing it for 20, 25 years. So now their kids are mentors, so the parents are mentors, the kids are mentors. And I know they've been trying to work to try to get something like this started here. And I'm just hoping that whatever we can do as a district, we can help that, smooth that along if we possibly can for them, because I think it's a great service we can provide for our students to be able to do that. And then being still loving that track program, the Eric Holst, I just have to say, 3 state records were set in the high jump, triple jump, and the 100-meter dash. I think it was a run or whatever, I call it dash anymore. I date myself. 100 meters, 45 teams participated, and as far as I know, it was incredibly well received. And from Thesa, who does so much of the work, she was just glad that she didn't have to make hamburgers this year, that there was a taco truck. So that was huge. And then just finally, I got to fill in for cooking at TOW, and I just am always so amazed at what we offer at both elementaries for after-school programs for our kids. It runs the gamut, and I sometimes think we forget how important that is for families, who sometimes need that extra time, but also for these kids, that they get to do something that they really, really, really want to do. And what a nice way to end your day if you possibly can. So anyway, it was just, I was glad to be reminded of that. I had a blast. Thank you.
Can I add something that's for good?
oh, sure.
I also went to the basketball banquet and the year-back banquet, and it was wonderful to hear the coaches and the boys talk about how important character, grit, and love your brother was more important than anything the scoreboard said. And it was really, they talked about unity, you could feel the unity. It was nice. It was a nice way to end the season for them.
I wasn't here, but I did go to visit some schools out of the country. And going on with what you were saying, Carol, I was so impressed with Fiji, with how friendly and wonderful the people are. And you just feel it. And so I went and got permission to visit a school there, and got to see all the kids and go to some classes, and met with the principal and talked to him about, how did you get every kid I see, every adult I see is so polite and wonderful. And they spend the first hour of their school day every day. Half of it, half an hour is on religious education, which we could not do. Half an hour though, is really on character education and manners. And he said we put it right at the beginning of the day because we feel that how kids become, what kids become is more important than, that's the most important thing we can do. And they really do have the village concept there, and everyone I talked to, like I was sitting around and some ladies were teaching me how to weave tapa. And one lady said, I'm so lucky I got to live with my grandmother and she taught me how to do this. And we were talking about everyone has their skills, and another woman said, yes, what is my skill? And they all said, you sing in the church choir, your voice is beautiful. She said, yeah. But anyway, that was really, really great that they put so much emphasis there, and it really pays off. Everyone is super, super nice. And then in New Zealand, I had just, my internet was really spotty, but I'd gotten information about the special ed Supreme Court decision. So I was met with some teachers there and was talking about how they handle special education, and they're very inclusive there. But parents actually have a choice. Their children can be in a special ed program or be included, and often many of their children have an assistant. But what I hadn't heard of before, and I read my note, we have this here, but one of the teachers I was talking to, she had a difficult student who had a full-time aide. This teacher worked 4 days a week, 1 day a week. It was a consistent day. She always had the same substitute and had 1 day a week off to whether go to meetings for him, but part of it was to plan for her other students because they realized that sometimes having a special needs child in your class takes a lot of your time and energy, and then it isn't there for other kids. So she had that time to plan things for her other kids, or even pull some of them in and work with them if she wanted to. But they left it totally up to her to what she thought the needs of her class were and to use that. I said, well, is that all over? And she said, well, we're experimenting with it. It's rather expensive, so it may not go on. But I just thought it was really interesting. So, that's it.
Thank you. I just would add to Ted's report on our review that one of the discussions always is continuing to get more student enrollment, and also emphasizing more the articulation with Saddleback and the increasing need for students to realize that to get that credit, they don't need to now enroll at Saddleback, but there needs to be an agreement between the instructor of the course and they meet with the person at Saddleback and they compare the curriculum and see that it meets their standards. And so they spend a lot of time working on that. And then it's just a matter of how do students fit it into their day. There's a lot of classes and a lot of student interest, but it's a challenge of, there are electives and a lot of them now have the A through G credit. A lot of it falls in the elective category, so they would get elective credit, but it's just a matter of if they're in sports after school, if they're in drama that's rigorously after school, it's when do they access those. And that's something that really is not gonna have a solution. I mean, it's just just a fact of life. So we still have a lot of students that are taking up that percentage again. I was able to go and listen to the students when the women were here on the golden ribbon. Is that the golden ribbon? I particularly wanted, after we hear our student reps and even with Jenny's student that came in and made the presentation, our students are so articulate that I really wanted to hear what they had to say. And they had about 12 of them in there, and some contributed more than others, but it was on both the blended class and on the ACR class. And they, of course, they're very, very impressed and gratified with the level of the teaching that they get. But there were just really perspectives on the fact that being in the blended class was then less intimidating. And so they felt more comfortable than being in just a straight honors class, and yet they felt the rigor was as high as it would have been in the honors class, but it just took that away and made them more comfortable. And then some of the students that were on the other end really felt that being able to help students, and it isn't like an assign, they don't have to do that, but by helping other students and explaining things, it just further cemented their knowledge and they got an appreciation of like that. If you wanna really know, if you know it, teach it. And so they worked that advantage.
It's interesting you say that because I was at the parent one, and the
Okay.
parents were saying the exact same thing
They were,
about their students, which is interesting because sometimes, you get one story, then you get another,
You're right.
and this, because I didn't hear that
it didn't
students.
go in well, if you remember that.
Right.
And so I was curious what the parents were gonna say.
They had
because they were-
what you are articulating is exactly what they were.
And then in some other things where the students got a chance to find out if this was the direction they wanted to go, and of course, the connection in ACR with UCI, where he's linked that up with, and they get to go there and do some really sophisticated things, but some students were like, okay, this is what I really wanna do, so now I've seen this and I'm gonna go into that, biochemistry or whatever, and other ones are like, okay, well, that was fine, but that's not, that's not for me, and that they have an opportunity at this level to help them make those decisions before they get to college. And then tying into that with what Ann Bergen presented at the PTA, I brought this and then, I'll give it to Victoria, but she had available at the PTA meeting, all the classes that are available and all that are the credit, what you can get and what the elective credit. So it really makes it clear, just to further the understanding of parents of what this program is all about. And she is much better than we are because she always says CCA and I'm
I still say ROP.
and she was really good at sharing that. They also had a parent mentor from Lisa Griffin, is that right, Irene? Lisa Griffin, who spoke, and she was also emphasizing on the new information on dyslexia and the new need to try to identify that, and just offering those parents the support of the parent mentors if their students are looking at that challenge, because that is the more difficult to identify often and can cause a lot of struggles in school with why isn't the student reading or aren't they comprehending? So she was really good. I agree with Ken on the trophy meet. I mean, always great crowds and it's great, and it was really nice to have our coaches spend the time to bring it back, because it had been for a lot of years, and then what I think happens is you run through those teachers or those coaches who are like, okay, we've done it for 20 years and we're not doing it anymore.
Thank you to you guys for coordinating with the city for the shuttle.
Right, that was nice.
That made it
It
a lot
was
nicer.
a lot less congested.
Well, and fewer parking tickets, and
Right,
et cetera, et cetera,
different
so.
Love your neighbors.
Yeah, thank you, that was actually, thank you.
And then I just wanted to say, and even though I didn't attend the last ELEC meeting, but Yadi and along with Marissa, they're just providing loads of information for the parents. And it's great. I mean, the information that I don't think we've had it in that depth with the Common Core, and then also the second part on the status kind of information was really an outreach for them. Thank you. Now we have Victoria.
First and foremost, I thank the board for their approval of Mr. Dixon to become the new assistant superintendent of business in the school district. Over the last several months, he's definitely proven himself in his work. I have been impressed with his professionalism, his approach to problem solving, and just the positive nature that he approaches the job. I think it's been infectious, and it's been something that his staff has appreciated as well. I hear nothing but positive things. I appreciate Ms. Warder also kind of mentioning that, because it is something that really sets Jeff as a leader. And so with that, again, thank you to the board, and we look forward to continuing budget development and all those pieces. But as a reminder, some people think of Jeff as facilities, because that's how he came in here, as hired in his role, but he has a bachelor's in business, he has an MBA, he has the school's business certification, so he clearly has the understanding and background to do the work, and so I'm very thankful to have him on my team. So thank you again. It's been a busy couple of weeks since our last meeting. I spent some time with Bridget Beauty-Porter, our art TOSA, and who is just doing an amazing amount of work for us as relates to connecting our K-5 teachers with art resources in our community. The last couple of weeks, she and I have met with LCAD, the president of LCAD, Jonathan Burke, as well as most recently today, we met with the Laguna Art Museum and Malcolm Warner, talking about how we can continue to expand our opportunities. What are those things that we can put into place for our staff to make it easier so that they can resource the programs that they offer. Again, just expanding opportunities for our students. And it's special thanks to Bridget, she's just like, an amazing person for all the work that she does.
It's heartening to see what she has taken and done with that.
Yeah.
It really is. I'm amazed and
And
the
the resources
and
are out there,
exactly.
that is going and seeking them out and actually put a little pressure on them.
Right, and you know, it's been good because when we go to these meetings, both of the gentlemen said, we see it as a way for us to help you. So that's a nice thing to hear, that we wanna help, tell us how, well, what can we continue to do to expand our opportunities? You know, and Bridget, she walks kids down, you know, and it's really easy for her. But, you know, it can be a trek to bring a bunch of students down there, getting them on buses, and how can we make that seamless? And how do we make it easier for the teachers so that they see those connections to the curriculum? So it's just not one more field trip, it's actually a field trip that really meets multiple needs. It's connecting to social science standards, which is one of the most recent field trips. We have a group of students going from top of the world, I believe this week, third grade students. I should know because my student mentioned my daughter going. But yeah, it's so nice to have all of these resources so close. That was one of the things we were talking about, that even though we have to put students on buses where for many students to come here, it would take them 30 to 40 minutes to get here. That's never fun on a bus with a bunch of third graders, but for us it's so quick and we can do short and they can go through the museum and learn so much. And we know that there's amazing buildings at the museum as well. So special things that we're also reaching out to see if we can get some LCAT students when our students attend the museum so that they can have these art students walking around and talking about art with them as well. So that's another area we need to expand. So coffee break, I know that PT is not here, but we had Dr. Weichman come. Luckily he was able to kind of step in at the last minute. We had a cancellation. He had a great presentation, very, again, well attended. So I thank PTA for doing that. Next will be John Sullivan, he's talking about sports. And that'll be at night, actually, it'll be a night event. We have the LCAP Advisory Council, I won't talk too much about that, Dr. Odipo may mention that. I did attend the Crystal Apple Awards this last week. Jonathan Todd and Samantha Gardner were both honored. And it was just a fun event. There was 4 high schools, there were city council members from various cities that served the Latter-day Saints stake that was in San Viejo. It was nice to see 2 really well-deserved teachers get recognized. And they had no idea they were supposed to speak. So the first gentleman, luckily Jonathan wasn't, he didn't have to go first, so he got to see and prepare himself. And Samantha shortly thereafter. But the first gentleman was an English teacher and an amazing speaker, and so everybody else was shaking their head, having to on the spot come up with something. But the turnout was amazing. It was a packed house, and so again, thankful for our teachers being recognized. I also attended the Schools for Sound Finance Spring Symposium in Sacramento last Thursday, flying up and back. It's amazing how much energy it takes to travel and sit on airplanes, but did get an update regarding the state budget from Jeff Bell, who is the program manager from the California Department of Finance. And we also heard the report on upcoming legislation and just the general economy and things will take stand for basic aid districts. This is specific to students or to districts that serve student basic aid. So last but not least, we had a Rocket Ready culmination today. Thank you to Mike and thank you to all those teachers. As I mentioned to those teachers, it's inspiring to see so many of our teachers stepping into that role and trying something new and willing to take a risk. And I was mentioning to one of the gentlemen who was there, Hall Davidson, who works for Discovery. He was doing a little presentation on virtual reality, which is really fun for kids to see. Be planted anywhere in the world and be able to look around. It's quite an experience. But I mentioned to him that we essentially had almost a quarter, if not a third, of our teaching staff in the district took part in this. You know, in larger districts, that room of 25 would have been just a very, very small fraction. So our teachers are willing to take on and try new things, and that's a sign to me that we have some amazing people that would get to work with our students. I'm so thankful for that. And that's it. I just had 5 cups of coffee, feel like today. So.
Well, it's taken about every ounce of energy of mine to not send a text message to my wife, so just wanna thank the board and Dr. Gloria for giving me that opportunity to serve as interim and then now as permanent. I know I'm lucky to be here, and we have amazing people in this district that we get to work with, and something that I've never taken for granted, and I just know that this is a true blessing, and give it 100% going to that. Thank you. Nothing business related at all.
Hi, good evening. So I got around to all of our 4 schools. It was the first time I've done that in a 2-week cycle, so I'm really excited about that. I think it's worthwhile because we have such extraordinary teachers. To just call out a few things that I saw, and it'll just give you just 10 seconds to do it, but Elmore was engaged in small group instruction, top of the world. There was writing up and down the school, it was evident. Teachers were engaged with students. Alex in science at the high school, they were about to set off rockets, and at Thurston, every single student was sitting at their edge of their seat, just waiting for their teacher. So it's a great place to be, I agree, Jeff, but our students and our teachers are just extraordinary. So I just wanted to call that out, being that, we get to do some instructional stuff around here. So tomorrow is Julie Nyberg. Thanks to your support, she'll be up at Thurston, and we begin the series of GATE trainings that we're providing for our teachers. Our high school is the final of a group of all of our pilots that are out, that are being trained for their final pilot. So that has occurred in the last couple weeks, and we'll bring forth recommendations to you soon based on all of their input. Thank you to Margaret for supporting the IA meetings. We finished the 4th meeting, and I'm so grateful for her help in coordinating that. Finally, the LCAP Advisory Committee, that was the 17th, so we were all wearing green. And it was led by Amy, and the principals really did a nice job preparing. Thank you so much to our community members that were there. And we just received our LCAP survey data, so we want to continue to do data dives around that, and our work is not yet done, but we're grateful for your support.
I don't think your work is ever done. That's why it's a 12-month job. That's ever changing. Lisa.
So, as Margaret and Mindy mentioned, we are preparing for negotiations and looking forward to it, and continuing our collaborative, interest-based negotiations with our bargaining units to solve some issues related to our contracts. So we're looking forward to that. As Margaret mentioned, we had a reclassification, our final meeting for the year last week, and this time we were really focused on the school assistant series, so the general ed end of our school assistants, and we'll be bringing forth some recommendations to you. They need to go through CSEA and be ratified, but generally just some job duty updates and some few position changes that you'll see there. And congratulations again to Jeff, and I'm glad that we made this happen before we go into negotiations. Change your mind.
Yeah, you can't change your mind.
Yeah.
There's a couple flags down there.
Okay, thank you all. We have 2 public hearings this evening, so I would like to open our first public hearing, which is the Windsor Unified Faculty Association revised proposal for a successive collective bargaining agreement, which will appear on consent calendar as item 15N. Is there any input for the public hearing? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing for the GUPA. And next, we open the public hearing for Classified School Employees Association, Chapter 131, and the Winter Unified School District joint proposal for a successor collective bargaining agreement, and announce a requisite public hearing, which will also be on consent calendar item 15N. Any comment on the public hearing for CSE? Seeing none, I will close that public hearing. Next, we have our consent calendar, and is there any public input on the consent calendar? I have it. That's okay. I wanted to comment on the result of our inquiry after the last meeting, and even though there's no one here to speak, since recorded on the meeting, just for the record, because this has been shared, by Dr. Boyer with Mr. Hills, who requested the information. That now our procedure will be that the public, anyone from the public may comment on the consent calendar at this time. And they have a 3-minute window of comment, which would cover the entire consent calendar. So they can raise any questions, clarifications, concerns at that time. The member of the public will not pull items off of the consent calendar. Board members will continue in that role, and so based on any public question that's raised during that 3-minute comment time, then might make a board member decide to pull an item other than something you had already decided to pull. And so that is, I think, moving forward, will be our procedure, and it's been, came to us through a legal opinion, and so that will stand at this time. And I think it's a good decision, and I think it will make it, last time we were attempting to be very conciliatory and not shut down public input, but I think it was, all of you agree, it was a little awkward and it wasn't efficient, so. Okay, that's for the record, and now, anyone would like to pull an item off? No? We have all my decorations here, so make a motion for consent calendar items. Well, if Dee needs to abstain on the minutes, do we need to pull it? Because you can't, you weren't here, so you can't vote. So, okay, we'll pull that. Pull it. Okay. So we'll pull A, the minutes, and then I would need a motion for consent calendar B through Q. So moved. Second, Kevin and Carol. All right, any clarifying questions or corrections? Victoria. Oh, no, thanks. Thanks. I needed that. He's like, what am I thinking, right? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now, we need a motion to approve the minutes. Second, Kevin, Carol, and Rich.
On the minutes at the approval of the job descriptions, I did not list the member who made the motion, I just had my blank line. Member Brown made the motion. That is,
That was my test shot. Okay. So all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And one abstention. All right, thank you. Now we have no information items tonight, although we've had a lot of information. We have action items. First action item is approval of the 2017 summer school program.
So thank you for this. Yes, we would like to propose and get started in our summer school program for this year. Lots of interest to begin planning and being thoughtful about how we provide support for our students, so.
Motion. So moved. Second. I just wanted to ask, since we seem to have it each year, trying to get the students that we would like to come to the program, to how we're outreaching that, to try to make it work.
Yes, so that's a part of the planning that we'd like to have, and we need to have the people in place to begin those discussions, but we're in agreement, we wanna make sure that the right students are in those seats.
And then I just wanted to comment on that you're offering a new program that, Break for Advance for the AP.
How are those students being identified? Thank you, that's what I was looking for.
It's a great question. So we look at PSAT scores, we're identifying students that might not think of themselves as AP qualified, but we would like to spend time with them to provide some skill gap opportunities to provide them the skills so that they can help see themselves in those courses. And you know what, I've been so impressed with the teachers that have been planning it, Carter Perkins and Kristen Cowles, who is here this evening, have really done a great job leading this. But the teachers not only want to provide support before the year begins, but they like to meet intermittently throughout the school year to do check-ins.
And we're able to do this because we do provide the testing opportunity for all the students, so that gives us a real true look at who might think they're not capable and yet they are.
Yes, yes, so we'll, the PLCs will help also determine what names need to be on those lists as well. And that is paid for, I should say, out of the college readiness grant, that we brought that information to.
Thanks. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, our next item is action item for career technical education incentive grant expenditures. Are you doing?
Yep, it's me
doing
again.
that?
So, yes, what I'm hopeful to do is kind of walk you through our process. Amy Cadan with Chris Hertzfeld and Nicole King have worked alongside 3 teachers to act as an advisory team. They have identified key items for this year that really should be purchased for our current CTE courses. We have other items, but these are the ones that we feel that are most important to fulfill the needs of this time. We have a little bit left over in that CTE fund, but we want to be sure that we have all of next year's planning done before we spend out our Christmas list.
Since I just did the wrong order the last time, our agreement is that we ask some questions now before the motion.
That's right.
I'm still not used to it. So, do you have any questions, comments on this? So this is the remainder of the grant that we've been getting, that we got last year, year before. Alicia, is that correct?
These are funds that we receive, yes.
Yeah, okay, so at our meeting, CCA passed a resolution to ask the state or that they provide a permanent funding stream for CTE. If that's what,
This is the last year?
yeah, because this is the last year, and so, I mean, it's all well and good, but if you don't have a funding stream, then, so I gave what we did to Jason and said maybe.
We'll bring it forward
Yeah,
on
we're
the
thinking about
next
that, but I
agenda.
think that is something that, I just wanted to make that, our board aware of that is something that we're concerned about, because if we are gonna spend this kind of time and effort and asking our teachers to actually get their CTE credential or their, that we really, there's gotta be a funding stream for it, they just can't just throw it out there and say, here, you have to do this again, something else they don't fund. So, that's just a comment for me.
You don't start it from the state and then pull the funding. I don't want to continue the program, so and it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of it. But also, it is Christmas money for us.
It is.
And it is necessary, we do
Provides
need.
our teachers what they need to accomplish.
Yeah, and that's what I mean, I think it's really important, and I think it shows that if we ask for that, then we are showing also a commitment to the program and to the idea of CTE.
And we did have students on the committee too, right? Did you send us something?
So students have provided feedback to the committee
They were,
about,
okay.
yes,
okay,
and that it was in the information,
yes, I'm glad.
Yes.
Get feedback.
Now I'd like a motion, please. So moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The next action item is approval of an independent contract agreement with University of California Irvine District Project Consulting Services in an amount not to exceed $19,400. And it's Alicia.
Yes, but I thought you might be tired of hearing my voice, so if it's okay, if I'd like to call up Michelle Martinez and Kristen Kells, they've been partnered with me alongside as we really do want to prepare thoughtfully for the history, social science implementation. And we also want to design a K-12 plan so that all of our sites are not working independently from one another. So they're here to speak to it for just a minute. Thank you.
Can you guys push the button on the mic to turn screen, please? There you go. Thanks. So we're part of a 5-member part of us for social studies, and we've been attending Orange County Social Studies Administrative meetings once a month. And so we're really excited that Social Studies Day is finally up on the board, and so our framework is coming in. I know we're so excited. And so we're so happy on one of the meetings, we got to see Nicole Gilbertson with UCI, working with Newport Mesa and all the stuff that they've done. So we really asked Alicia to make that happen and bring her down here. And so she'll be working with us one-on-one, helping to design lessons. They do a whole medieval section, so it'll be Mr. Matheson and myself, and we get one-on-one training. How phenomenal is that, right? And then 8th grade has Civil War, so that'll be Darcy and myself and Ms. Mathias.
and will be trained. So we're just so excited, and then we've made a team to also have 2 from every site do now scope and sequence, so that we can align now with the content didn't change, but they added more depth in what we now call CLIC, content literacy, inquiry, and citizenship, and then they added C3 framework on inquiry. And so we're gonna now design scope and sequence of what per grade level as we move up, vertically align, what do we decide to keep, what can we move forward and out, and just make for the, just a complete vertical alignment as we go down to the high school. What do we need to finish for 8th grade to push that over for them in junior? What is 5th grade teaching, so that'll help us in 8th grade teachers and be more concise of what we need to do as we move forward for the framework.
And with the framework rollout, it gives some really amazing and exciting opportunities to kind of restructure the social studies classes, not in a complete way, but just to make them more inquiry-based and to help focus kids on some of the literacy skills and how to take some of that information they're learning about the past and apply it to the present and how to work outside. There are several of us at the high school who have had the opportunity to work with Nicole Gilbertson previously through the UCI History Project. We have gone to trainings and workshops that she's held previously, because the History Blueprint, which is the curriculum that the History Project has created, is amazing. So the opportunity to have someone who is involved in developing that material that we already use to help us develop assessments and inquiry-based lessons that are in line with the new framework, I think is really exciting.
Are you thinking of?
As little as possible.
No, that's right. It's painful, isn't it? Are you guys considering, got the thinking, of tweaking, not so much, because I know you're all, at the middle school, your kind of curriculum is set, but the way you do the GSS or the, when you have your Econ Gov, because isn't there civics, what I used to call civics in the dark ages, talking about medieval times, but isn't that part of the curriculum now as well?
Citizenship.
So that's.
Yes, citizenship is one of the 4 shifts that the framework has in place or is working towards putting in place to have students go outside of their school and to get involved civically beyond the scope of their classroom. There is within the framework a recommended 4-year course of study, and the framework recommends 2 1-semester classes and as a freshman, and then the 10th grade world history, 11th grade US history, and then 12th grade government and economics. So it would be not necessarily flipping government into freshman year, more adding in some richness into those freshman classes. Some of those classes use things like sociology and psychology, but also things like ethnic studies, which I think could be a really great opportunity here in our school.
Good. And in that freshman year, there would be the opportunities to go off the campus, is that at that time?
Yeah, civics, as the civics or citizenship kind of class, that the things that they've spelled out in the framework lend themselves to kind of reaching out into communities. At the rollout that we were able to go to at the beginning of this month, there was a video shown that for the 612 citizenship piece that allowed for these kids to, they were having trouble with busing and getting buses and trolleys to go through at appropriate times, and during certain times when the kids got out of school, they were overloaded and the kids were frustrated about it, and they researched how this impacted the budget and how they could help the city reallocate some of those trolleys during the high traffic times. They presented in front of their school board and their city and started making some changes. They realized that there were some unintended consequences of those changes, and so they continued and revisited this. And it was very local, it was very personal to them. They were able to see something that was a need in their life and actually take action, which I would think would give the kids a lot of interest in the social sciences in general, which I'm in favor of. And I think it would also give them a lot of power and sense that they have a place even though they're under 18 and can't vote yet, and that they belong and have something to contribute of value.
It was nice because
to be here.
Yeah. And what's nice is because these, we don't have a state test yet, so these are recommendations, not mandates yet. So we can tweak some stuff. So seventh grade got a hit on adding more stuff to our curriculum. So as we take out and resequence and scope as to what we find more appropriate or, to worthwhile since we link it, it's nice that they're all just a recommendation so we can play around to see as we develop the scope and sequence throughout all grade levels now.
Very good. Thank you. And we had the comment you made to me about history being the only subject that adds every year.
History is
And as far as
every
being-
day, that's a day long.
It's amazing
Yeah.
how that works. I didn't even think of that.
As a former history teacher,
Does.
understanding the challenges that we face in history as teachers, but
Those is why you only have teachers, then there's you. It was also how to get to what's would be more interesting to students of what's happening now. Because especially the last few years, the students have so much connection. I mean, it isn't like they're gonna learn about something that happened in another country in 2 months. They're gonna learn about it before they go out of school that day. And so it's, for them to realize how history is ongoing.
No, history happens in real time.
Right, it does.
So they have also an awareness for civic duty, and so Kristen and I are gonna go down May 13th, so they're having it at the Nixon Library. So now as they start bringing programs out of how to engage students outside the classroom in civic awareness is huge, because that's a major shift in our framework as well.
In the same way that there's the ability to honor schools for different things and to gold ribbon and all of that, there is the ability to become a civic learning high school if you meet certain qualifications. So it kind of all ties together. We're gonna go and find out just, what the deal is and see how we can bring it back and apply it and help to enrich the education of our kids.
And middle school.
Right.
And
We
middle
know.
school.
And elementary. I know,
Thank
we're
you.
the middle child, those are the
always speaking up.
My sister talked to you about that.
Yeah, it's not me, so.
Yeah, anyway. You guys have to stick together. So any more questions or, thank you so
Sounds
much for
great.
coming and giving us a better understanding, and it's very, very exciting to make it much more action oriented for students. Definitely. Thank you.
And it's exciting for me to see you guys so invested in professional development, right? I mean, you're owning it, this is yours, and you guys really, you make a difference with the kids. It was Orange Kiss, college, there were 2 kids who were trying to figure out what to do, and they were like, well, I like math, and that's all I had in history in middle school, because they hadn't yet had freshmen, right? They're like, now I like history too, right? They're trying to think what subjects it was, like, we're trying to guide them with that, so it's kind of interesting classroom, it's history, so. Yeah, so great history program. Thank you.
Have a motion, please.
Second.
All right. Any more questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks so much, you guys. Our next action item is approval of independent contract agreement with the University of California Irvine Math Project Consulting Services in an amount not to exceed $13,200.
Yes, so thank you for your support with Irvine Math Project. The high school has had several days. Thurston also had a few days as well. Rather than hearing from me one more time, I hope you'll grant me permission to read you a statement from Irvine Math participants up at the high school. Would that be acceptable? Okay, great, thank you. This is from Nancy, but written in voice from the whole department. So, the lesson plans provided from the Irvine Math Project have provided us with a refreshing new approach to many lessons for all levels of math. Over the last 3 years in the Common Core transition, we've spent much time incorporating more hands-on and technology-driven lesson plans. The Irvine Math Project lessons reinforce these practices while also providing a variety of new ideas. And additionally, CAS testing has put an increased emphasis on problem solving, which has created a large shift in instructional practices. The Irvine Math Project has helped to design relevant problem-solving tasks that are aligned to CAS and the Common Core. It has been a pleasure working with Jeff Herby. He's our primary trainer, and he clearly understands math education and the classroom dynamic. So with you, with your permission, I'd like to bring forth this for your review, and they would like to finish off the year strong.
I'm all for it. We would like to finish. That's a nice letter. Yeah. That's from our math.
Department at the high school, yes.
Have a motion. So moved. Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next action item is approval of board policy second reading. Let me take them separately. Okay, there's second reading, we can have a motion, put them together. Non-discrimination harassment, board policy 5145.3 and resignation or bylaw 9222. So, second. Carolyn. In favor? Aye. Opposed? Then we have our opportunity for our new section, which is board member requests, items for future meetings, requests for information, or general comments.
Thank you for allowing me again, that's fun. Jeff, and allowing me to have time. Jason talked a great deal, and for him to reach out to Mark and get an opinion was very helpful, and everybody else will with that. And it's good,
I was just thanking for the information from our updates this week, the LCAP kind of recap, and then the class rank from Hanover, and we are using Hanover, is that not correct?
Yeah, so that, the information
I
that's
mean, it's
provided
obviously
is,
not ours, but that
right,
is
so that
company
information
release.
was something that was compiled by our staff, and so we're moving forward with continuing that conversation, specifically with the school site, at some point in the near future. Because that'll be something we'll need to talk more about, moving to more potential moving to a class rank versus our current.
I just appreciate having that in advance, being able to read it, and it was incredibly thorough, and I thank you. Yeah. Well, I have a couple of things. I just sort of a commentary, I guess. If any of you saw the 60-minute section on the chess instruction for the students in, I think it was Kentucky, in a small rural area, and they brought a man in that has been teaching them chess, and they have gone to state level competition, and I think they went beyond that to a national. It was that Sunday night, and they had out a room because I had to fix dinner. Right? So it was, what it reinforced to me is that sometimes where students are demographically, there's an idea of what they're capable of or not. And these students, it has done so much for their concept of what they're capable of by learning chess. And it said they do chess, all grades, kindergarten on up. And they compete, and were very daunted by some of this competition because it was just, and then they kind of, got together and they did pretty well after that. They got a couple of kids that got trophies, and I think it was grades 5 and 6. And the man that's, I can't remember his name, but that's coaching them said they could definitely win. I mean, it's unlimited what they can do in the future as they keep learning this game. They go home and the kids are so taken with it that they will play more chess once they come home. But it's just, that's what it really reinforced to me, that we can't forget that all of our students have this tremendous potential, and not categorizing, because that's, I know we do an excellent job of that here, but it's just not as a reminder. That's such a responsibility. I wanted to ask in connection with Bridget, it reminded me, and I don't know whether these still exist. There was a time that LCAD gave some summer program scholarships to some of our art students, because their tuition costs are really high. And I just remember one boy that took a class in the summer, it was like an $800 or $900 class. So and then also Free Links to the Museum, if they're still doing that. I didn't know if they were, I didn't want to ask them for the report. It just made me think of that when they were talking about the citizenship, and that when we first began the community service requirement, there was a lot, not a lot, but there was definite opposition, parent opposition, they called it forced volunteerism. And it just seems that we've gone so far beyond that now, of understanding how important that is to teach that to students, that responsibility to give of your time. And it's really gratifying to see that whole mindset has grown and developed. I agree also, I really appreciate all the information on ranking, that was great. I haven't read all of it yet, but it was really good to have it, and I think that's something that we should take a look at. Maybe it would help to eliminate some of that stress or that pressure on students for the actual slot. And then I'm just gonna issue a challenge to Jeff, and I read that Redondo is up for a Green Award for the district, and knowing that Stephen Keller left here, and he's if not competitive, I don't know what he would be. So I saw that if Redondo can do it, then we can do it. So it's a green, I'll have to look at the details,
I know.
green district. Yeah.
He's already,
he's not that competitive. I'm not.
he doesn't have a dodgeball.
So it would be.
We've seen that.
Checkmate for. Thank you for indulging my commentary. Our next regular meeting will be Tuesday, April 8th. Margaret, okay.
I just wanted to comment on the LCAT program for our juniors. My daughter did partake of that, 2 courses during the summer between her junior and senior year, and it was wonderful because there was no cost to her directly, but was the major result of why she went to the local Woodland College of Art and Design rather than the other college that she had been accepted to. So it was a great experience for her personally, and you know, they don't have to go too far to do this, and it really then embedded in her love of art, and that is why she has a degree from LCAT now.
I'm just really appreciative that Richard is really pursuing the local resources.
I just wanted to add one thing too about the museum. They started their outreach program for teachers, and it was about 20 teachers came. And they expect then they'll do it again in the fall. They're going to do it twice a year, but that is a way to get teachers in and see what's happening.
We had several teachers from Talk World and Moral Intent, and that was actually a countywide opportunity, so we'll continue to kind of push that out to many different districts, because of course, we're not the only place they serve, so, you know, we can keep them very busy, but at the same time, you know, there's other districts out there that could benefit from kind of the learning experience that we have with them. And on the LCAD, there's also some teacher education that they actually do over the summer as well. And so we've been talking with, again, part of the conversation that came up was how can we provide even more to our teachers who might be interested in doing that, and utilize some of those students to maybe potentially volunteer or whatever it might be as needed when we have projects that we're working on. So again, pleased to see and hear kind of the interest on everyone's side. We are scheduling a visit, Bridget and myself, to see LCAT. They are actually adding a creative writing program. So there's a lot of things. LCAT is expanding. That's the one thing that they are ever growing down the canyon, which is take over the entire canyon. But it keeps them very busy as they look to expand and provide more opportunities for students. So, and their fields are always changing. I mean, we have Blizzard just on the street from us, and they have there's just so many different layers to art now that continue to expand their role in our community. So.
And they're working hard too. I just served on the docent panel. The docents teaching them the reason that it's really important to include elementary, because a lot of them are art people on there. God, it's like cans. But getting them more comfortable with that, but also getting them to see that it opens up another world for kids, and that's going to be future museum goers.
So on some of those displays, that little art show they had last month in February, some of those students really had the idea already of depth and perception, and it was incredible to see some of what they were capable of doing at that age.
I mean, we'll be having a K-12. So last year we just had a 9-12 show at the museum. This next year, actually, Richard's working to put on a K-12 so that students' art K-12 will be showcased in the downstairs where they go.
All right.
So
next regular meeting is Tuesday, April 11th at 6 here in the boardroom, and I have motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.